Hello there, Herschel, Daryl, Apoc, Satya, the Roberts, Ames. Hello, good evening. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening now.
But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. They were too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1 0 1 1 1 0
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Well, good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're taking your calls as we get weird and recognize that there's a ton of things happening out there in the world that continue to be weird, uncategorizable, unquantifiable, all the things that Fox Mulder always talks about in the X-Files. Now, I was just kind of going through, as you know me, look, I like to collect odd stories. I like to collect odd ideas and then talk about them and consider why these things exist, not just in the mind's eye, but in the folklore space and the mythology space, and even the science space, though I'm not a scientist. Probably more a folklorist these days, but what difference does it make? What's in a name? In any case, tonight we're going deep. Now, I found this article recently and it kind of shocked me. And I'm weird enough where many things do not shock me anymore. However, this one really hit home when I was reading it. And I thought, what in the world is this? The headline, all these links are in the description as usual. Please read up on this stuff. Check it. The actual diagnostic is here from bmj.com. So the actual, it's called A Difficult Case. Diagnosis made by hallucinatory voices. Yeah. A real medical journal, a real medical case. The article is from livescience.com and it's called Diagnostic Dilemma. A woman heard voices telling her she had a brain tumor and scans confirmed she did. Okay, weird, right? Now, instead of reading this whole article, I'm going to just read the AI summary because, you know, it's probably a little more accurate and a little less meandering, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to read this. So a middle-aged woman in the UK began hearing calm, unfamiliar voices that urged her to go to a specific hospital because she had a brain tumor. Brain scans later confirmed a large meningioma, I believe is how you say that. I'm not a doctor. Sorry about that if I mispronounced it. Which was successfully removed, after which the voices disappeared and she remained well for at least 12 years. Now, the main events. So a woman in her 40s suddenly heard a voice while reading, introducing itself as someone who had worked at Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital and offering to help her. Okay? A disembodied voice. For real. Somebody completely lucid, sane, just chilling, reading a book. A voice comes into her head and introduces itself. Weird, right? Now it gets weirder. The voices told her she had a brain tumor and should seek care at a hospital equipped to deal with it, even though she had no obvious neurological symptoms. Okay, curiouser and curiouser. Her psychiatrist requested a CT scan. It was initially denied as unnecessary because, of course, who does medical stuff because the voices in their head told them so? That's one of the oldest you're crazy tropes in the world. It wasn't me. It was the voices in my head, right? Except in this case, yeah. So the CAT scan was eventually approved. The scan revealed this, again, I can't pronounce this stuff, a paralphysine meningioma, a tumor growing between the brain's hemispheres in the meninges, I believe is how you say that, the tissue covering the brain and spinal cord. Neurosurgeons removed a tumor about 6.4 centimeters by 3.8 centimeters in size, which is massive. That is huge, right? That's massive. And as she woke from the surgery, the voices said they were pleased to have helped her and then vanished permanently. She stopped antipsychotic medication and had no return of hallucinations, remaining symptom-free for at least 12 years. Okay, and now the article is very good. I suggest you do read it. It is paywalled, so, I'll have the after-show chat. If you want to check out the other version, I will have that available for you. I have that right here, matter of fact. And like I said, when I was reading this, it was one shocking thing after another. And clearly this is not something that happens every day. And typically when something like this does happen, people are the laughing stock of the block. Like, get him out of here. Get this crazy out of here. But for whatever reason, they believed her. They believed her enough to investigate further and actually do this CAT scan, which confirmed exactly what these voices were telling her. Now, the other strange part about this, and the thing that caught me the most as part of it, was how do you trust these voices? And we've talked about this in the past quite a lot. Okay, the idea of making contact with something. And before I get into the woo, the deep, deep woo here, all the disclaimers apply. Okay, there's no truth to be found here. This is just ideas. This is looking at the world in a different way. If you're here for truth, you're in the wrong place. I'm making no claims, no guarantees, nothing. Just a fun and interesting conversation. That's it. That's what you get. Oh, and it's completely free. So you get your money back if you don't like it. Okay. Now on to this. When you're contacting something from beyond, and, I've called this the Ouija board effect, things like this in the past. Or how do you know it's really granny? How do you know it's really a benevolent spirit as opposed to something hostile? Okay. Now, I'm asking that question because it's important here. In this particular case, how do we trust the voices in her head? How did she trust the voices in her head? Let me tell you what, is suddenly tomorrow, I started hearing a very specific, direct voice in my head telling me very specific, direct things. I'm not sure I would believe it. I'm not sure I would trust it. You understand what I'm saying to you? I know you do. You're all very smart people. And so the question becomes, how on earth can you trust something like this? And in this case, it turned out well. It turned out actually a happy ending as far as we know, because the last contact was a 12-year reunion when the woman called her psychiatrist to say, hey, just calling to catch up and let you know I'm still symptom-free, no problems, no issues. The voices have not come back. This cancer has not returned. Bingo. 12 years. Now, the question really is this, and we'll get into why. But how would you trust it? How would you know to trust it? And I'm calling this tonight the 3 proofs, kind of burying the lead a little bit as well. Protocol of the liminal. And how would you know? if it's benevolent, if it's a trickster, if it's some beam from Alpha Centauri, if it's some radio station you're picking up from Uganda or something. How would you know? I don't know. But let me tell you what, there was a clue in this that made me wonder. But you're going to have to wait until after the break. I'll tell you all about it when we come back. Be right back. More Troubled Minds in exactly 1 minute. This one is going to be, what will this be? This will be brought to you by the Stoic Minute. See you in exactly 1 Stoic Minute. Feeling stressed? Overwhelmed? In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get swept away by our emotions. Take a breath and find your inner strength with the Stoic Minute.
You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.
The ancient Stoic philosophers understood that we can't control everything in life, but we can control how we react.
The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts.
Focus on what you can influence. Cultivate a positive mindset and let go of what you can't change. Find your inner strength. Live each day with courage, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Embrace the Stoic virtues and find peace within. The Stoic Minute, brought to you by Jack in Oregon. Shout out, Jack. How are you, buddy? Thanks for sponsoring the show. All right, now I'm going to read it straight from the article because this is important to get these details right. Now, the question I asked before we took that quick break was exactly this. How would you trust those voices? How would you know they were benevolent and wanted to actually help you? It was actionable cosmic intelligence and not something frivolous, not a trickster aspect, not a bargain with the devil. The devil knocks thrice, they say. Why do I say that? Because maybe not. Listen to this. So the symptoms. One day as the woman was reading, she heard an unfamiliar voice say, "Please don't be afraid. I know it must be shocking for you to hear me speaking to you like this, but this is the easiest way I could think of. My friend and I used to work at the Children's Hospital, Great Ormond Street, and we would like to help you." Okay, this is the voice, beams into her head. Now, this is where this gets weird. This gets very troubled mindsy, very esoteric. The woman said the disembodied voice then attempted to convince her of its sincerity by providing 3 pieces of information she did not know and suggesting that she check their veracity as proof that the voice could convey a truthful message. The woman looked up the facts and confirmed they were correct. A little spooky, no? A little spooky. Then suddenly, right, what happened next? The woman did not know where the voice was coming from. She was frightened, all the stuff that we said, okay? Real story, real article. The actual case is right here. The link is in the description. I encourage you to read this stuff if you're into these ideas, because this is absolutely wild to consider. But think about it. A voice beams into your head some random day. You're freaking out because you have no idea if you can trust it, if you can trust yourself that it's real even. And suddenly, it offers proof. It offers some level of cosmic protocol that allows you to verify something in the real world so you can know full well that the information coming from this entity, from this voice, from this disembodied mind screw is actually legitimate and real. 3 things verifiable in the real world. Strange, right? Okay. And so I thought, what I think. Here's what I thought. Hold on. Let me see. Here we go. Gonna get it right. Never mind. That's the point. 3 things verifiable in the in the real world, and that as this thing that I'm calling the 3 proofs, this protocol of the liminal. If they cannot verify things in the real world that you do not know, that you can go find, then maybe you shouldn't trust them. Maybe you should believe they are those trickster spirits. Maybe, just maybe, you should double check a great number of things. And of course, it always comes down to what you do believe. And I talk about belief a lot because I think it's important. It's important for us to recognize what we do believe, how we quantify those things, how we carry that out into the world around us, the physical world, and how it anchors us in our soul space, in our mind space, in our heart. All that's very important. However, when it comes to trusting a disembodied voice, what do you believe? And what about this idea of the 3 proofs? You think there's something to this? Well, I made a list, and we'll get to those things because it's weird and it's fascinating. And even in this scientific journal, this modern case, it echoes ideas from the past. The folklore trope of the 3 proofs. Yeah. We are taking your calls tonight. Love to hear your thoughts on this as we start. Very deep in the esoteric space, very deep in the paranormal spirit board space of how do you know you're contacting something nice? We've talked about this a lot. This is fascinating. What do you know about it? 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Thanks for being patient, my man. James Salcido. Salcido Paranormal, you're on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? Go right ahead.
I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. You sound great.
Good. Yeah, the thing that sticks out with this whole thing, maybe more than anything else, is those 3 facts that the person didn't know. Because so often when it comes to, let's say, Ouija board sessions or any kind of contact session where people will ask questions where they are the only ones that know the answers, the explanation within sort of paranormal circles for how this can happen or how the other can get the answers right is, well, the other or the others or whoever's there, non-physical entities, are getting the information from that one person's mind. Which, if that's possible, if, telepathic contact or connection is possible, then that makes sense. But here you have this person did not know these 3 things. And that may be the only way possibly to verify, at least to some people anyway. Again, later on I do want to talk about how proof, I think, is, there's never going to be proof that is accepted by everyone of anything paranormal. But that those 3 things that the person did not know themselves, to me, may be the most fascinating part of this. Everything else I've heard about different versions of it before, but not this thing with the 3 things that the person did not know themselves.
Which is the only way to verify, right? I mean, not the only way, but the easiest way. Now, thinking about this, and this is in the write-up, so if it offered one thing, okay, you could chalk that up to coincidence. If it offered 2 things, you could be like, well, now that's a higher coincidence, absolutely wild, but still maybe that's a shot in the dark. Then suddenly 3 things happen that you can verify, and suddenly it seems magical. It seems like that number 3 has turned a corner in our mind and is no longer a shot in the dark or a lucky guess. It is now a verifiable pattern. And that's exactly where this comes to mind for me. And you and I have talked about this a lot in the past, that idea of the spirit board and reaching out to something that you don't know what it is. And even if you don't believe in a spirit board, that's fine. I'm not sure I do, to be perfectly honest myself. Okay. However, there's something happening there where we're even feedback looping ourselves in the most materialist sense of nothing being there. But still, it scares the hell out of you, and you got to wonder where the information is coming from. How deep in our subconscious? If you want to look at it from that materialist space, like I said, what level or layer of our subconscious? Because there's some dark stuff in there too. But the question becomes, how do you trust it? And this in particular was one that really hadn't dawned on me till I read this, and I was like, that's it. That's it. It has to be able to verify things you do not know in the real world that are verifiable. Wild stuff, huh, James?
Yeah, definitely. Because, when it comes to anything else, like, I guess one of the things that you mentioned earlier is, when anyone has contact from others, and even if it's from, like you mentioned, grandma contacting you, I think the only way to maybe for a person to know is how they feel. But now, okay, for example, I've had experiences where I've had visitations from deceased relatives, Do I feel like I know it was them? Yes. Can I expect anyone else to be sure of that outside of myself? No. But I know how the experience is felt, and it's all based on feeling. So I do think some of these things can be who they say they are. Some of these encounters can involve the people that they say they are, but also obviously there can always be tricksters too. And it all comes down, I think, to the individual experience, which is where, to me, proof all comes down to. There's never going to be proof of all this that everyone will accept.
Yeah, never. And that's one of the things that will probably never change. You're never going to get everybody in consensus. And I think that's good. I mean, I think consensus can be terrifying because you see what happens in some really, brutal parts of the world when they all agree a particular group is bad, right? That kind of consensus is very dangerous. So it is good that, there never will be sort of that consensus proof, at least in the modern zeitgeist, or maybe forever in humanity, who knows? But some of that is good. So it's good that we disagree. But again, that, as I always say, that we be friends as part of it. It's really critical as part of these conversations. But yeah, great stuff. What else you got?
I'm just thinking about that case there. The idea also of, so this voice said it was themselves and a friend who worked at this hospital. Now that makes me wonder, who was the voice that was speaking? Because if they said it was, my friend and I, my friend that worked at this hospital, and I. Now they didn't identify who they were, which is fascinating. There is, if you want to go back and look into all these things, there are reports of people being contacted by spirits, and in some cases it's not always an apparition. It's just like this in a way. It's a voice that they hear in their mind. But this is of course fascinating because it's a more modern experience of that. And I think even if we want to look at that as the hallucination offering, real information, I mean, what if hallucinations in rare cases can offer access to other consciousness, other beings, and offer a way for them to connect with us? It makes me wonder, should there be more research on hallucinations and how they work and how they happen and why they happen as it connects to other consciousness, other levels of reality, instead of just writing them off as hallucinations that don't matter, aren't anything significant.
Yeah, 100%. And not only that, maybe let's say that, and if you scroll down to the bottom of this, I showed this article to James a few days ago, but at the very bottom of this article, there's a striking passage. Let's see if I can find it with all these stupid ads. But the medical consensus basically is, where is it? Here it is. Okay. All right. The fact that the voices vanished after the tumor's removal showed that these symptoms were at least directly related to the presence of the lesion and may in fact have been produced by the lesion itself, the psychiatrist wrote. Think about what the hell that means. And what James just said, very smartly so. If we can't determine where these voices do come from, maybe it is something deep within our body trying to tell us something is wrong, our gut biome screaming, or whatever. I don't know. Tons of stuff here, lots of wild ways to look at the world. What do you know about it? Got about 30 seconds left. If you got anything else, James, go ahead.
Yeah, also happy to sit on this one because I'm curious what everyone thinks. And this idea of these connections or these things happening where there's a connection to the real world are fascinating. And I'm just glad that this happened in a way where the woman was able to be helped. And I love that it was all because of something that supposedly does not exist.
Voices aren't real, James. Not disembodied voices. Don't be ridiculous. We're here with James Salcedo tonight, salcedoparanormal.com. Go give him a follow on all the places. Go buy his book. Books, plural, troubledminds.org/friends or Salcedo Paranormal. Tonight we're talking the 3 proofs, I'm calling this. The protocol of the liminal. Why 3? Why disembodied voices? And is it possible for an ailment from within to send you a message to try and help your body heal. 702-857-6939. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. We got Matt Sal coming up and your calls as well. Be right back.
You're tuning into Troubled Minds, the show where mystery knows no bounds. Stay tuned for revelations that'll keep you questioning the fabric of reality.
Please don't be afraid. I know what this sounds like. I know you cannot place my voice. I know you did not call. But I have been watching the wall between us thin to something close to nothing. And I could not let you sit there reading while the dark thing grows. So I will give you 3 true things you can check against the waking world. 3 keys you did not carry. 3 doors you did not know. The first is written where you'd find it. The second waits behind a name. The third will close the distance between what you feel and what I came to say. Check them. Go ahead and check them. I will wait here in the silence, where the silence has a shape. You found them true, I knew you would. Now let me tell you what I came for. Now let me tell you why I stayed. Something in the space between your temples that was not there before the spring. And the ones who know these hallways sent me through to say its name. So please don't be afraid. I know what this sounds like. I only have a little more to tell you, and then we'll say goodbye.
That one was all right. What's up, guys? Hope you're well tonight. Thanks, James, for popping in and sitting in. As usual, you were the man. Herschel, Joe in Florida. What's up, Daryl? APOC, Lungy, Mule, the Robert, and Satya. I see you there. Good evening. Good evening. Yep. Thank you for that cool song. I agree. This is a good one. Oops, I'm on the wrong page. Let's use the other chat. What's up? Satya gets first with the testes. 1, 2. What's up? Jen is here. Good evening. Close second. Richard in Texas. The Michigander. Ioxy. I'm watching the chat there. Ioxy. Good on you. The storm passed by. That's scary. Tornado warning. My goodness. Stay safe. Michigander. Jen. Ioxy. James. Hope everybody's well tonight. Just doing Troubled Mind stuff. Let's see. Matt Sal, we'll talk to him in a moment. We got Eli, the unseen Steve McQueen. What is up? What is up? How you doing? Yeah, hello, Sweets and Richard. Cool song. Yep. Okay. Let's do it. Let's go to do the thing. We got Sweets, Nostradamus, and Puff, and I'll get the rest in a second. Troubled Minds happening right about now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, which you can find at KUAPDB.com. Broadcasting out of Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world. And of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, A woman in the UK started hearing voices. Before telling her anything, the voice offered 3 verifiable facts and said, check them first. She did. All correct. Then it told her she had a brain tumor. Now, the thing that caught me was not just the bizarre aspect of voices in your head trying to diagnose a medical problem of a healthy adult that was just chilling reading a book. That's one thing. That's terrifying enough. But then suddenly it's giving you verifiable information in the real world of things you do not know that you can go check, and it ends up being real. Now, if that doesn't spook you, I don't know what will, because suddenly the question really gets down to, where do these ideas come from? Okay. And we talk about, where do ideas in general? We talk about that all the time. The muses and some of these old ancient ways of looking at the world. But suddenly, when we have this happening, and again, the medical diagnosis is, well, as far as we know, the tumor was just talking to her. What? Like, how do they write that in a journal? Because it doesn't seem to be a normal thing, does it? Or what if it is, and we miss it all the time? Suddenly, I don't know. Maybe the world opens up in a bunch of different amazing ways with this particular case. Yeah. What do you know about it? And why the number 3? I'm going to talk about the number 3 in a sec. Hang tight. Matt Saw will get to you in a moment. Anything on that, James? And then I'll touch on number 3, which is highly fascinating here.
Well, just the fact that they said that it was a tumor that was talking with her, to her. I mean, if you go back to, again, what the voices said, my friend, and who used to work at this hospital, and I. Now, so it's not the person that worked at the hospital that was talking to this woman. It's someone else. So was it some kind of energy within that tumor? Which is really fascinating, because it makes you wonder, when things are happening with the body that are not supposed to be there, or all these things, what's happening on a, let's say, a metaphysical level, spiritual level? Is there something else there that is not supposed to be attached that becomes attached somehow?
Well said. And it's a hell of a question, and one as yet unanswerable, which is incredible, which is why we're here talking about this. Now, let me point this out. So the obvious thing here is the number 3. Energy, frequency, vibration, Nikola Tesla, that's the one everybody knows. Of course, the Trinity, that's the other one everybody knows, at least in the West, probably mostly the world over. Here's another one. Pythagoras. He considered 3 a perfect number because it had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and saw it as representing proportion, harmony, and perfection. He also noted that 3 is the only number that equals the sum of all the numbers below it. 1 plus 2 equals 3, which is not true for any other number, making it uniquely self-completing. The entity in the case didn't offer 2 facts or 4. 3 is the number that converts coincidence into pattern in human cognition. And it's also the number that every major esoteric tradition has independently identified as the minimum unit of completion. Yeah. Coincidence? I think not. But why? Suddenly things start to maybe snap in and feel weird about this. Like I said, this is a hell of a case. This is one of those things that you absolutely cannot easily quantify. And it just gets more and more spooky the more you think about it. What do you know? 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Just like this, let's go to Matthew in California. Matt, what's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How are you? Go right ahead.
Hey, man. Hey, Mike. Good show. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Thank you for calling. Welcome to the thing. Go right ahead. What do you know about this? This is kind of freaky, huh?
Yeah, I do have some things that you know. But what this actually the story reminded me of, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this movie called Phenomenon. Have you seen it?
No, not all the way through. I've seen parts of it, never finished it, started it, saw a couple of chunks in the middle. No, never finished it.
It's right up the alley of what we're talking about tonight. And I'm going to spoil it. It is it's one of my favorite movies, but it's a sad movie. So don't watch it if you're sad. But this movie is kind of close to what I think the story is about. But this movie from the 90s has John Travolta. And I'm totally going to spoil it, sorry. But what it's about is, it's about this guy, John Travolta. He's a regular guy. And he lives in this small town. Everybody knows everybody. And he's having his birthday party at the bar. He get drunk. He walks outside. He stumbles outside, and he falls, and he hits his head. And he looks up in the sky, and he sees this light in the sky. And they never say, in the movie, like, what it is. It was a UFO. Was it like he hit his head? They kind of leave it up to you to decide what you think it was. But after that night, after he hits his head, he starts having these, like, all these, a year of these weird coincidences and, magical things start happening to him. He starts like knowing things and seeing things, and he knows things. He can, like, predict earthquakes, and an earthquake happens. He starts having all these, like, magical coincidences happening to him. And his friends start noticing he's changing. One of the major parts of the movie is where there's a kid, he gets sick. He eats some, like, bad fruit, and they're trying to find him. They can't find him. And the kid, he's like, he's Filipino. And they're like, we need to go find this kid, get a English to Filipino dictionary. And, like, in the car ride over there, the main character, he learns that language and, like, just, like, flipping through the book. And he's able to save the kid, rescue the kid. And so they're like, all his friends start freaking out. He's, like, moving things. He's doing, like, telekinesis. He's having, like, telekinetic powers. And his friends start freaking out. Of course, what happens next? The government comes looking for him. They want to dissect his brain. They want to know what it is, what is his power. They want to put him in a cage and under a microscope. But then, not like we'll spoil the end of the movie, but at the end of the movie, his next birthday, the same thing happens. He gets drunk at the bar. He walks outside, falls down, hits his head. He sees the light in the sky. But then he loses the power. He doesn't have it anymore. And the rest of the movie is really sad, but it kind of reminds me of what this story about this lady. And so I'm trying to think, like, is it her higher self? Is it like her higher guardian angel? It saved her life. So I'm wondering what is it that he's talking to? Is that kind of what we're talking about tonight?
Yeah, that's spot on. And I think many people would quantify it exactly like that, like some level of guardian angel sort of shipping the information necessary to save the person's life. And not only that, verifying these facts, which, like I said, this whole thing is creepy enough on its own, but then the fact that it has those three sort of key questions, the messages that tie the voices in her head that seem ridiculous to the real world and things she didn't know. Did that strike you at all? That, like I said, that was one of the spookiest parts of this story to me. And this story is just top to bottom spooky as hell. Does that stand out at all?
Yeah, we can talk about the law of three. And usually I have something here, but the law of three, most people think of things as like good luck or bad luck. But when we talk about the law of three, in witches, we're talking about, we have it as like the triple goddess. The mother maiden crone, the different laws, the different magical abilities that we have. But one of the things when we talk about the rule of three is that they talk about whatever you do magically, it comes back 3 times. And it comes back once for the middle, the psychic, and the divine selves. And so we were kind of talking about this the other night about consciousness and subconsciousness and superconsciousness, the divine self, the middle self, and then the conscious self, our waking reality. But what I called talking about that movie, I do recommend that movie. But talking about the law of three and all that, I wanted to pass this by, and this is from it's actually an Islamic proverb, and you laugh, Islam and Wicca have nothing in common, but this proverb it's talking about how we speak and how we talk to ourselves. And so what I wanted to kind of read here is off of the three is, according to this Islamic proverb, each word we utter has to pass through 3 gates before we say it. At the first gate, the gatekeeper asks, "Is it true?" At the second gate, he asks, "Is it necessary?" And at the third gate, it asks, "Is it kind?" And those kind of things we see throughout all, on all religions, all traditions, we see, the ka and the ba and the law of three. We see that in all the religions and all this, the mythological stuff. So, there's something that has to do with it. Of course, like I said, the mother, maiden, crone, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. It goes on and on. Three just shows up in all kinds of texts and stuff. And so I like that, how it kind of I like the story of how it proved to her. You can't just jump to it. You can't just say, the entity can't just say, "Oh, this is the thing you need to do." It always tests you first. It gives you 3 tests. And then, if you can pass those tests, then it will tell you what it was there to do, the mission of what it was there to do. And so that's why I like the story, Mike. Thanks for telling it.
Yeah, me too. I was shocked when I was reading through this. I was like, this seems like another, they're going to give you a zinger at the end that doesn't make any sense. And it was some creative writing project for somebody. And at the end, it's like, well, yeah, the Legion was talking to her. And I'm like, what the hell is going on right now? Losing my mind. And I go find the study and it's real. This is all real. I mean, absolutely bonkers. So I'm glad you dig it. I appreciate you, the call, of course, sharing ideas and filling in some of the blanks, because 3 is obvious in a lot of ways, but suddenly when you start to see it once again resurface in newer stories like this, it makes you wonder what the hell is really going on. Fire stuff, brother. What else you got, if anything else?
I just want to say, check everything in 3s. The things happen in 3s, that means something. See 3 of the same thing, or just kind of look out for the synchronicities of it. But also what I want to say too is I feel like we should be listening to our higher selves, our higher guardian angel. And we were talking about this the other night, the wall between the conscious, the subconscious, and the divine mind. And these walls can come down. And we're talking about it through near-death experiences, but I'm wondering if there's something else here. There's the conscious mind awaking every day. Think of it like a metaphor, like a sandwich. Okay, one piece of bread is the conscious mind, every day waking right now what we're doing. But the other piece of bread is the super conscious mind, the divine mind, your higher guardian angel, your guardian spirit, whatever you want to call it. And then the middle, the meat and the cheese of the sandwich, is the subconscious mind. And whenever we do these things, subconscious mind is, dreaming when you're not conscious, when you're asleep. And so anytime we do these like meditations, any kind of breath work, Reiki, any kind of, breath work, dance, going into a trance, these types of things, we're opening windows in those walls. We're talking about the walls being up. And I think there's 2 walls: the wall between our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, and our divine mind. So if we could open up these windows, let the draft in. But what if we could full on opening doors in between them? And that's where I think these kinds of stories are going to fall into place. But thanks, Mike, for listening to me. And thanks for the story.
Hey,
Have a good
Ben.
night.
Appreciate you very much. Thanks for the call. Tell Lacey we said hi, and always a pleasure. Take care.
Thanks, man.
You know him, you love him. That is Matthew in California. Matt's Owl, affectionately. templeoftheowl.com is where you find him, or troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit. It'll say follow Matt's Owl here. Please do that. And again, I have to mention it. His podcast is amazing. It's actually, he's got a massive esoteric book collection. He makes fun of himself. That's how I know. He's like, I've got all these books I got to read. But what he's doing is he's synthesizing those ideas from those books and putting them into his podcast. So please go listen. He's got a ton of wisdom, and not just his own wisdom, he's also synthesizing those older ideas into sort of a new format. So please go check it out. templeoftheowl.com. Great website too. Super sexy, those colors. Love to hear your thoughts on this. Why did Pythagoras believe that 3 was a sacred number? Now, why does 3 just come up again and again and again? It seems like one of those old tropes that never dies, huh? What are your thoughts? 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Let's go to Jen in Missouri, the Arcane Observer. What is going on? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. What do you got for us tonight? Go right ahead.
Okay. Well, so the three, I do think so. With two, the one by itself, and then there's a second one that would appear is supportive to the first one, but a third one offers another way, almost like that's like sort of the it's the other option besides the two. Like you have a foundation, and then the third would be like an option. So I think that three makes a lot of sense that way. I've never really abided with like certain rules about how things must go. I've seen a lot of things that were extreme that only happened in a one. There was nothing leading up to it. It just kind of came out of nowhere, and it stood alone. Nothing came after, and I don't know what the time frame would be that you would relate it to make it relate to the other. So, that's a loose idea. I'm not sure what it can stand on. I mean, there are many events that come in threes, I suppose, and there are many events that just come in one, so they come in like a flourish, But so with that, I don't know. But the symbology, I think, just you have a one, and then, well, okay, back to even like just talking about the threes. To make a third, if you think about human beings, for example, like you have two, and that makes another option, another way that's separate from the other two. It's like a pathway that opens up that's unique to itself, but it definitely opens up something completely different, in that concept. But, or even if you have two minds that think alike and you add in a third mind, that may not agree, but it may give it enough division or agreement that it can go somewhere where it couldn't have gone with just the two that seem to agree all the time. So it's sort of like that. Now, also too, I mean, looking at just the story that we're talking about here, I've looked a lot into like the whole healing arts they talk about, where you have energy healings, people call like laying on of hands, or you have Reiki. There's literally like a laying on of hands and the concept of many different faith belief systems. And then you have I remember looking a long time ago, I was going to go to the school, and it's the Barbara Brennan Hands of Light. And there was a book, and there were several books actually put out. And the whole book system breaks down working with the energy field of people to heal different whatever diseases they have. And they go through and they describe like finding different reasons in the body why this would be. But it's really fascinating. There's a lot of people who go into that, and they, charge by the hour, and it's like $200, and it goes, there are schools dedicated to this, that do this kind of work. And I don't really disagree with that, because I you have regular medical doctors who charge more than that. So it's nothing to balk at the idea that they charge for these energy healings if they actually produce something. There have been many different people who report they had some success with it, and there have been many people who have sought that as a last resort and wished it would have worked, and it did not. So I lost interest in that, because you wish you could just you don't want to represent something untrue, but the dedication to doing work on a person can yield results, I think. I think there's no study on that. There's not a lot of work done on it. So who knows? But it's kind of like the old idea of healers, or people healing other people. And they usually talk about either they get messages from beyond in those healings, or people have reported in Reiki healings and things like that they see other beings in the room that are actually doing some of the healing work itself. Or they've reported seeing like things that are causing the harm on the individuals before. I've heard about that. And I've heard of cases where like the people, if they are a ill-intentioned individual and they come to an individual to try to do some work on them, that it actually could, in some cases, invite spirits that are going to, or I'm not sure if they're really exactly spirits, but some kind of parasitic energies that may operate at that level. So it's really up to the practitioner. And so you hear a lot of stories about that in the healing world and everything. I haven't looked into it in a long time, but I remember all the things like shiatsu and Reiki and literally just the laying on of hands and understanding like the 7 different layers of the body and the chakras and all of that. And it is really fascinating. I think everybody should probably, like, if you're interested in this or thinking about it, I would recommend, there's a book called The Hands of Light by Barbara Brennan, and it is extremely detailed with many reports of people having success with it, but at the same time, it's a human system, and I don't believe in that there's some divine system that would be better. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's really interesting how they are considering that they can feel the energy field of people, or that you can attune yourself to be able to not only feel it, but see the energy field of people. There have been reports of people standing in line behind other individuals and seeing something in their field, but I just, there's all these other stories too. So it just makes it so difficult to really believe in, but the fact that the woman heard a voice telling her this, and then she went and it was confirmed that it was true, it doesn't really matter if the voice meant, I mean, obviously, it was helpful. So regardless, and the idea of kindness as we think about it, I mean, doesn't apply to these other realms. I don't think it does. If you think about an animal, does it think that it's being kind? And when we assume that everything has a humanistic persona to it, of kindness or unkindness, it could blind us to the truth that it may be offering, even if it seems to not be kind. It could be offering some kind of truth. But it is up to, we really do have to take responsibility for our own mindset about things. And we rely too much anymore on that the mind is weak for people, that they're susceptible, that they cannot distinguish things, reality from, fantasy. That kind of loose wall we've got these days, I think, is truly dangerous, that a person cannot trust themselves. And in fact, the idea that they cannot is a very weird world we're living in, and that you should seek like authority from someone who has a degree when they themselves may not be right in the mind. And there are many cases of that, of people who are qualified that are just technically insane. And it's very common as well. So, and they seek the cover of a laboratory coat or the cover of a degree to qualify them to do things so that they can, interact with people. But I think the body does give, in fact, a lot of times pain is a messenger. Like I've heard about in cases of there's certain exercises that one would do. And if you feel pain in doing that, it's focused around these certain organs of the body. This is in Chinese medicine. So they have this series of exercises a person would do. I can't remember the book, but the person would, you do those exercises all the time. You're supposed to do it as a practice every day. And then if at any point, you notice when you're doing those, that there's a pain or pressure in a particular area of the body, and there's always different positions you would take, but if you notice a pain in that position, if there's something that's a type of dis-ease they're trying to set in, or something that you should release or whatever, if it's to do with the liver or the kidneys. But then we're facing a world now where it's not just energetically, it's got to do with environment too. So who knows? But it is really interesting.
Well said. And your timing is perfect. If you got more, you're welcome to stay. If not, appreciate the call.
Well, thank you so much. I can mute up and just hold over. And if you want to come back to me at some point or if anything like that, I'll do that.
Okay, sounds good. Appreciate you very much. That's Jen, the Arcane Observer, of course, the other part of Salcedo Paranormal. And we're here with James as well tonight. We're talking the 3 proofs. Protocol of the Liminal, I'm calling this. Now, the number 3 rings deeply in this tale, but also don't forget that this woman's body was talking to her, telling her to go get a CAT scan for a very particular thing. What the hell is going on? 702-857-6939. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Do not go anywhere.
This is Troubled Minds. Your host, Michael Strange, the master of the mysterious, is here to guide you through the shadows of the unexplained.
Let's check the news. A new study out of a major university in Japan is rewriting the history of ancient ocean life. Fossil jaw analysis suggests that giant octopuses reaching up to 19 meters in length once patrolled the seas alongside dinosaurs, roughly 100 million years ago, potentially making them the largest invertebrates ever documented by science. Even more intriguing, uneven wear patterns on the fossilized jaws suggest these creatures may have favored one side when feeding, a trait in living animals associated with advanced brain function. Many questions remain, including what exactly these colossal predators were eating, though researchers suspect a type of ancient shelled sea creature was likely on the menu. Turning to the science of sleep, researchers are now exploring what they call dream engineering, a technique designed to influence the content of REM sleep in order to boost creative problem-solving. The early findings suggest the boundary between rest and cognitive performance may be far more permeable than previously understood. And in space news, Blue Origin is facing serious scrutiny after its New Glenn rocket failed to deliver a communications satellite to the correct orbit during its 3rd launch attempt. The payload, belonging to a commercial customer, is now effectively space debris. What makes this more than a corporate embarrassment is the potential downstream effect on NASA's Artemis program. New Glenn was set to carry Blue Origin's lunar lander as part of the agency's planned return to the moon. With the FAA investigation potentially stretching several months, and the Artemis crewed landing already pushed back to 2028, experts are openly questioning whether Blue Origin can meet its commitments. NASA's other contracted partner, SpaceX, has faced its own series of Starship failures, leaving the agency's moon ambitions resting on 2 rockets that have yet to prove themselves fully operational. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Poor Blue Origin. That would be Jeff Bezos and his penis rockets, whatever. Yeah, right. Still doing that in 2026. What's up, Treeland T? I see you there. Hope everybody's well tonight. Fantastic call. Thank you, Jen and Matt Sal. Great stuff as always. You guys are absolutely the best. More with James coming up. Yeah, probably corporate sabotage. Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't rule any of that stuff out. Those people play dirty and for keeps, right? Whoever gets those big government contracts are they stick, right? They stick. What is up, Herschel? I see you there. Ioxy, congratulations on dodging the storm there. That sucks. Like tornadoes are really, really scary. Sacha, Richard in Texas. Yeah, Triangle, exactly. Yep. Cool song. Appreciate that. Yeah. Hey, what's up? Theo's here. Hiker emoji. What's up, Merlin? Nostradamus. Sweets. Hiker. I said hiker. Hello. Hope you guys are well tonight. Thanks for all the reposts and all the places, Sweets, and for tagging people and all the things. And have to say I like her more than Microsoft Mike. Okay, what's up, Jay? Jay in New York, how you doing? Who did I miss? If I missed anybody, just say hi. I'll say hi back. Nobody's on the phone line. If you guys want to pop in here and talk about this, it's a weird one, right? Like, at what point do you pay attention to the voices inside your head? In this case, it is a trope, right? It is one of those things you laugh at. Well, I'm laughing at it, but then suddenly it doesn't seem so laughable anymore. And it just happened once. It's one case. It's one thing, one time. Anyway, wild stuff, absolute wild stuff. Like I said, I encourage you to read the studies and whatnot and the actual case here, because it's, like I said, there's not one part of this that's not kind of chilling, making you recognize that there might be something happening way deeper in our physiology than we ever dreamed. Yeah. What else? What do we got? So I got some other stuff to get to. Of course, we'll get to that momentarily. If I missed anybody, just say hi, and I'll say hi back. Who'd I miss over on the Discord? How you doing? We got Herschel. What's up, Dragon Rose? Daryl, Jen, thanks for the call. Appreciate that very much. We got the Robert, Satya, Apoc, and Matzel. Also, fantastic call. You are the best. Lunging Mule, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being cool and chill and being nice to each other in the chat. Like I said, it means a lot to me that we can agree and disagree and still be friends tomorrow and not punching bag each other in the chat. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening right about now. Shall we? Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting at 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. I don't give it enough love. KUAPDB.com. Please go listen. James is all over this. We got Herschel's up there. Jen's got some stuff up there. So many people have contributed to this and made this network go. So it's not just me. It's James and tons of other Troubled Minds. Shout out Serena, Paranormal and Proud of, and the OG days when we first set this up. So many talented people doing talented readings and ideas and all the rest of the stuff. Please check it out. KUAPDB.com. Tonight we're talking this bizarre tale, this weird case of, you never believe it. One of those things that ends up in a, kind of the basis for a movie, but the diagnostic dilemma. A woman heard voices telling her she had a brain tumor, and scans confirmed she did. Now, if that's like just a dumb luck type of thing, that's super, super really, really good luck, because a lot of people hear a lot of voices, and I'm not going to say I don't. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I think I hear something and I'm like, what was that? Right? Like, this is somebody in here. I don't know. My ears ringing. I don't know. Like, I don't hear full sentences or somebody saying, Michael, go to the window and look outside. Nothing like that. Not yet. If that happens, I'll let you guys know. You'll be the first to know. But this is a wild one. Like I said, and like I said, the more I was reading through this too, the more this just got creepier and creepier and more accurate. And this was one of those things that you, once again, cannot quantify. And where do these voices come from? Anything to add, James? There's a ton of stuff there. Jen had some great points, and welcome back. Thanks for being patient and letting me ramble through this. And how you doing, my man? You're on Troubled Minds.
Michael, go to the window and look. Oh, I'm sorry. That was, I don't know where that came from.
Damn it, to James. Go to the window and look outside. I have the touche back at you.
I'm wondering now too, and I put this in the chat there in Discord. I wonder if this ever happens to people, but because of all the stigma against that, on a sort of a mental health front, but also on a paranormal anomalous experience front, things like this maybe happen, not necessarily even with this same situation with the tumor, but just in general, any kind of information that might help someone, how often it gets ignored because of this stigma, these stigmas against all these things. In other words, people ignore those voices because they feel like that can't be real. I'm just really curious. I mean, how do we know that this is the only case that has made it to any kind of public knowledge of it? But how many times does this happen with people and we just don't hear about it?
Yeah, and that fits entirely into the ideas of the paranormal. When people experience or see something, they kind of tuck it in their back pocket and don't talk about it because they know somebody's going to laugh at them. Their doctor might try and put them on meds. I mean, all kinds of stuff, right? It's like there's just an unbelievable amount of things that kind of come out of this, and many of them aren't good. And so, who knows? It is probably one of the most. I would expect that it is one of the most heavily censored things, self-censors, that we do when we hear something or see something. And it fits into the UFO phenomenon. People don't even want to say they saw a strange light in the sky. Even as simple and basic as that, you say that and suddenly you're a weirdo. And you're not even saying aliens. You're just saying, I saw something weird. And then suddenly everybody around you looks at you like you're insane. Like, this is the type of stuff. And there is that stigma. And the stigma is our self-censorship because of this, that huge stifle society has really put on a good point on all that.
Yeah, just makes me wonder, and it's not that we should always trust, all the voices that say everything. I'm not in any way saying that, but I don't know. Just I think we need to go by how we feel about what we hear from whatever we may hear. And I've always said this. One thing I've learned is I go with how I feel about whatever experiences I have, but then also be aware that I could be wrong about them. And overall, it's been a good practice so far.
Amen. Well said. Trust your intuition. Like I've always said, it's one of our superpowers if we pay attention to it. If we ignore it, we kind of get ourselves into trouble, don't we? You were the best. We'll get back to James momentarily. I'm calling this tonight the 3 proofs. Protocol of the Liminal. And of course, it was based on this story of the woman that heard voices telling her she had a brain tumor. Scans confirmed she did. Weird. All this just reeks of high strangeness. And the conclusion is that the tumor was talking to her. Like, that's the psychiatric conclusion? Well, the troubled minds would like a word. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org if you want to be part of the conversation. Daryl in New York. Welcome. Thanks for being patient. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How are you? And go right ahead.
Okay. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can, but I can hear all the rest of us too in a massive background noise. I think you need headphones.
If I take the fan off, is that better?
I'm a test 1, 2.
One more thing. That should be better.
That's way better. Way better.
Oh, good. I don't have that much, but I did want to mention 2 things or 3 things. One of them is, okay, why don't doctors listen to you when you have a problem? You know, this is not the first time, you know, you go in with one thing and they always just say, go see a psychiatrist, you know. This is an issue that I had when I was going through my own stuff. I like what James said about maybe the brain tumor had its own consciousness, you know, which I like that idea. I think, you know, what if, you know, every morsel of your body, every part of your DNA could probably create another one of you, or has, or does, you know, when you're looking at DNA manipulation, etc. You can make a clone of yourself from one, you know, any part of your body. So why wouldn't any part of your body be able to communicate with another part of your body? I think that's a very good point. And not to bring up another subject, but I kind of haven't stopped thinking about David Wilcock. I had no choice but to listen to Stephen Campion. You know who he is, right?
Sure do.
He made a career out of picking on him, basically. But, you know, apparently he was saying David Wilcock heard voices. You know, he must have been crazy. You know, of course he didn't, you know, he was very empathetic to what happened to him, which I'm going to say, you know, before anything, that I appreciated, you know. But he still kind of was holding on to his own narrative that, you know, he had issues and he was talking to aliens or believed that there were aliens. He must have been crazy. So who knows, you know, what was David going through? I'm on the fence with really what happened to him. I'm very, very disturbed by it, you know. And I feel like it's worth discussing, but I don't know when. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. I just thought that was, you know, did he hear voices that was, you know, something in his own body talking to him, or was it some other kind of manipulation? And anyway, I think you have to give people, you know, some more credibility when they say they think something's wrong with them. Listen to them, you know. Don't just brush it off to a mental illness. Is what I'm trying to say. You know?
Well said. I'm not going to talk because I'm coming through. Echo on your system.
Oh, sorry about that. And I think that's all I had to say. I'm pretty sure that's all I had to say. Yeah, that's about it, you know. So doctors, listen to your patients. I think that's an amazing story. It's truly miraculous. And thank goodness that she had somebody that gave her the time of day that took the time out to investigate this, you know.
Amen. Well said. I'm dropping you down there just because, like I said, there's a hiss coming through, and every time I talk, it loops back. So thank you for the call. I appreciate that very much. And yeah, I mean, look. So the reason, like I said, I'm going to hold off on David Wilcock because clearly he was a disturbed guy, and there's a lot there. And also, I want to see. There was an officer there supposedly, so we're going to get a body cam and, you know, some of this stuff. So it's going to be evident what happened. And so I don't want to jump to conclusions yet because, like I said, people do suffer. people do suffer deeply and are in crisis sometimes. And, you know, the things turn bad in a moment, and these things do happen. Like I said, I just want to be, like I said, when there's human stuff involved, I don't want to jump to conclusions too quickly, because, you know, I would not want anybody to do that to me or anybody that I loved or friends of mine or whatever, you know. So just a reminder on that. But yeah, I mean, we're right to question. We're right to think of what's real and what's not. But me personally, I just want to hold off on that. And again, back to the story. Thank you for the great take. Follow Daryl in all the places, troubledminds.org/friends. Just scroll down, click after you click it. It says follow Daryl. It's alphabetical. It's all alphabetical there. Click that, follow Daryl right there in the middle. You see it, and go follow her YouTube channel. It's completely free. She sings in English and Spanish. Got a ton of stuff on there, music stuff, and also some paranormal stuff. Please go check it out. Let's help our friends. Let's help grow the YouTube channels, and let's encourage her to make more content. Anything on that, James? Got a couple calls to get to in just a second, but if you have anything on what Daryl said.
Yeah, no, I do agree that even if, you know, I'm not saying that in some cases there can't be sort of possible mental illness causing some voices, but I think there needs to be an examination of each individual case, each individual person, and what is going on with them physically, spiritually. Just, you know, obviously we're probably a long way from that, but all the different levels of what a person is, I think, needs to be looked at, and the main thing should be to help that person, not to sort of further any kind of dogmatic system of anything, religion, science, whatever that there are out there. So I think that's I wish that was the way things were, and hopefully we'll get there someday.
Amen. Let's hope so. And like I said, we talked about this in the past too, the idea of sort of the, you know, one part of your body talking to another. And clearly that does happen, you know, as sort of a regulatory function of just how our body operates, you know, like our gut and our mind are closely linked for a lot of reasons, like this type of stuff. Like there's a, you know, sort of a communication happening that we don't think of. But also, I wonder if it's deeper, if there is something that we could maybe somehow decipher somehow or some way that will one day be able to kind of just be like, oh yeah, here's a sentence from this particular tumor that's telling you, right, or whatever, like it's gonna report itself. It's gonna report in. I mean, that type of stuff is just wild to consider, that maybe, just maybe, this is all part of who we are as people, and the larger context of our biological system, which is incredible to think about. But we're talking about this story. So a woman heard voices telling her she had a brain tumor, voices in her head, just like you would expect, kind of spooky out of nowhere, and told her to go get it checked out. Gave her, and here's the weird part. It gave her three things. It said, I don't expect you to trust me. I know this is weird, and I'm paraphrasing. This is what the voice in her head said. But here are three things you don't know that you can go verify in the real world to know that I'm not just a frivolous noise in your head. She did. She verified these three things, and they were all real. And so she was like, wait a minute now. Something must be to this. So she told her psychiatrist, and they had long talks about it, and then eventually, her psychiatrist recommended the CAT scan, which is what the voices in this woman's head were telling her. And like I said, I'm not making this up. Links are in the description. Check it out. This is from 1997, a difficult case diagnosis made by hallucinatory voices. And what the hell does it mean? How deep does it get? And is there anything about the number 3? Those 3 questions sort of rooted in not just numerology, not just in Pythagorean doctrine, but also the Trinity and all the things we've been talking about tonight. Energy, frequency, vibration. So many ways to look at this. But what do you know? Love to hear your thoughts at 702-857-6939. How weird does it get? And have you heard this story before? This is a brand new one for me. I was like, damn, this is, how come I hadn't heard of this? I wish I had previously, but that's okay. All things in their due time, and lucky to have found it, and now we can talk about it. Let's go to whoever this is. What's your first name? Where you're calling from? You are on Troubled Minds. Go right ahead. Test on the phone.
What's up, Mike? This is Theo from Philly.
Theo in Philly. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How are you? What's on your mind, my man?
All right. Good to see you guys. Good to hear you guys, Mike and James. I would say this is actually a topic that I'm somewhat passionate about. I think it's weird, you know, like there is kind of this strange right-wing meme where they kind of think that people who don't have an internal narrator Do you know what a internal narrator is?
Oh yeah, I wrestle with mine all the time, telling it to shut its mouth, leave me alone for a minute. Constantly.
Okay.
Basically,
so a lot of right wing people think that, or I mean, I'm not trying to be derogatory to any right wing people, but a lot of right wing people do think that if you don't have a internal narrator, you're somehow stupid or crazy. But then they also think that if you have two voices inside of your head, you're schizophrenic and nuts. Doesn't it ever strike you guys as odd that one voice inside of your head is the perfect amount of voices to have inside of your head?
That's a hell of a point. That's a hell of a point. And it's I try to write bad poetry, but it's something that I do think about a lot. It just seems kind of insane that it's all right, 0 is not enough voices, but 2 voices is too many, and somehow 1 voice is the perfect amount. It seems kind of very arbitrary. Yeah, it seems very George Carlin. George Carlin had this bit where he said, have you ever noticed that everybody who drives faster than you is a maniac, and everybody who drives slower than you is a moron?
Oh my God, that's such a good point. That's a very good, everyone who's not me is just, not good and kind of stupid. But yeah, so and I also did want to hear James's opinion on this, because he's not cited. I don't know, James, do you have you probably only have 1 voice because you're normal like the rest of us, but
yeah, you don't know unless you ask.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, James.
Oh, I was going to say, it's most of the time it's just 1. Here and there, I'll get what seems like maybe it's more than 1. But it's also, I do wonder if people that maybe have been or are, they do any kind of fiction writing, if they don't sort of develop voices in their mind based on what they've been working on or what they've worked on, whether it's characters or not. Just, I don't know. There may be something to do. That may be something for a whole other show or whole other thing at some point. So yeah, it's usually just 1, but every so often there'll be more than 1.
No, that's a great point. Do you think Michael, just doing radio, does that ever develop more voices inside of your head? What you have to do, when it comes to commercial break and such?
Not really. What I was going to tell you there, and I didn't want to interrupt and run over your point. What you guys hear is my internal monologue. I'm thinking like this all day, not the radio breaks and stuff, but just a weird stuff. When I see a weird thing, whatever it is, sometimes it's a weird logo, like a weird corporate logo. Sometimes it's a strange color and just things that kind of stand out that are hiding in plain sight. I think about them and I'm like, well, that's weird. I've never noticed that. How come? What is that thing doing there? And how long has it been there? And how come I haven't noticed? And what is my subconscious kind of just buzz by this and never recognize? And then now suddenly I recognized it today. You know what I'm saying? Those are my thoughts. And this is me most of the time on the radio. When I'm rambling, it's 80% of my inner monologue. Of course, I have to cut some stuff out because my inner monologue is not always PC or family friendly. But for 80% this is what you get. This is what goes on in my head as I'm driving around during the day. So yeah, you are privy to what's going on, the voice in my head. And I do only have 1. It is only 1. I have a single narrator, and it's me. And so I've never had a weird, a cross frequency or a different voice or anything like that. It's always sort of been singular me. So it's an interesting point you bring up regarding, the correct how many voices should we have? I don't know. It's a hell of a question.
No, that's an awesome response. And I would like to leave you with one question. How are you so certain that your inner narrator is yourself? And I'll leave you guys with that. But I do think that's something that's worth pondering for everyone. How are you so certain that the person narrating your inside is actually you? But regardless, love you guys. Love you, James. Love you, Michael. Toodles.
Back at you. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for the call and a fantastic question. Theo in Philly, the official poet of Troubled Minds. Appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know. And it does go back to the, the old consciousness bit, like what makes me, me, and what makes you, you. Okay. Where's this sort of disconnect? And then not only that, where do ideas come from? And if they're spontaneous in our own mind, in our own head, in our own moments and whatever, that's very materialist. It's just sort of, our experience and the places around us inspire these things, these moments, or they don't, or whatever. Like whatever's going on, we're sort of the victim of circumstance of just our experiences, and that's where ideas come from. But I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. I do wonder, and it's a hell of a question. I hope that the voice in my head is me, but I guess there's a possibility that it's not. So, yeah. It's a great question. I don't know. I mean, like I said, and also I want to pose the other question here. Like, how long would it take you before, let's say this happened to you regarding this case we're talking about tonight with this woman who just suddenly started hearing voices. She's reading a book. It says, "Don't be alarmed. I know this is weird. I want to prove to you that this is legit." This voice in her head, this disembodied voice, just starts talking to her. It gives her 3 things to check in the real world that she doesn't know. She checks and verifies and is like, damn, okay, this voice is legit. And then it tells her she's got a tumor to go get it checked out. And that checks out too. Like how long would you guys go if something like this happened before you would go screaming to the heavens to get me a CAT scan? I mean, I don't know, like you certainly doubt yourself, right? Is it your voice speaking to you in sort of a different narrator? I don't know. Like me, like I said, no cross frequency in my head, at least visibly, quantifiably. But who knows? Maybe it is 5 voices in my head, and I can't tell the difference, and they all merge in one space, and I just think it's all me. That wouldn't surprise me, actually, because that archetype stuff, the hero's journey, all the stuff we always talk about. So maybe, I don't know. Thought on that, James?
Yeah, it's another thing too. I'm wondering, and this is maybe a question for everyone too. Does your voice in your mind, does it sound like your physical voice? Because to me, when I think about it, I don't know if mine does sound exactly like my physical voice. I think it's still me, but I don't know if it sounds exactly the same. It almost sounds like maybe it's like it's only the deeper part of my voice in a way, which is weird. But yeah, and this whole topic, I mean, I had an experience once where I was really debating on making 2 decisions I had, and I can't remember now what one of them was even, but and my cat is spazzing out over here. Anyway, I got this image in my mind, just in my mind's eye, of light, like this white light, and it almost took on the shape of like a humanoid with, again, really sort of stereotypical angel wing kind of shapes on either side of it. And I got this voice in my mind that said, go ahead, do what you're thinking of doing here. It'll be fine either way, no matter what happens. And I did. And, it wasn't, the results were not what I had hoped for, but in the end, everything was okay. The voice was right. I don't know where it came from, who it was, but it's, really fascinating to think about these things when it comes to these voices. And I do, another real quick thing I wanted to point out about this case with this woman's hearing those voices, or that voice, these 3 things that they did not know. Well, whoever was there had to have access to her mind to know that she did not know these things.
Exactly. Which is the spooky part, because it suggests there is a split there, and there's a split not just of your local consciousness, but of another consciousness being able to kind of dip in and talk to you about things and give you information. And back to the idea of the muses and where ideas come from, we've talked about, downloads and sort of this divine inspiration or information that comes from literally a bolt of blue, as they call it. So who knows? And that's a fantastic point as part of this, because how would you know that she doesn't know these things? I mean, that's like a next level. That's like Mothman stuff. Chapstick in your pocket, right? You're reading my mind. I know I told you about that scene.
Yep. But no, they had to literally be able to read her mind to know that she was not aware of these things.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a fantastic point. And And of course, the question becomes, what the hell does it all mean? I don't know. And don't worry, because we're not here for answers. We're here to ask questions and talk about these ideas. Quick shout out, Night Stalker. He says, this isn't exactly the same thing, but one of the worst days of my life was the first time hearing my voice played back to me and realizing that what people hear isn't what I hear. Yeah, welcome to recording and hearing your own self back. For the first 7.5 years, it's horrific. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be right back. We got Herschel coming up and your calls as well. More from James. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds on the way. Be right back.
You're tuning into Troubled Minds, the show where mystery knows no bounds. Stay tuned for revelations that'll keep you questioning the fabric of reality.
Let's check the news. A newly published study in the journal Science is turning heads in the astronomical community this week. Using NASA's TESS spacecraft and the Antarctic Search for Transiting Exoplanets program, researchers have identified a planetary system around a star located roughly 370 light-years away that is unlike anything previously observed. The system contains 3 wildly mismatched worlds, including a rocky super-Earth, a mid-sized gas giant, and a massive outer planet with 16 times the mass of Jupiter, all gravitationally tugging on one another in real time. Scientists say the orbital shifts happening in this system normally unfold over millions or billions of years, but here, they're measurable on a human timescale. Turning now to neuroscience, and a story that may resonate on a deeply personal level. Researchers from Queen Mary University of London, the University of Trento, and Sigmund Freud University in Vienna have proposed the first comprehensive neurobiological model of what they're calling affective tactile memory, the science behind why a comforting embrace can stay with us for a lifetime while a routine handshake disappears almost instantly. The model suggests that emotionally meaningful touch doesn't simply leave a mental impression, it may actually reactivate the physical and emotional states felt during the original experience. The researchers further argue that early tactile experiences, particularly a caregiver's touch in childhood, quietly shape the brain's emotional architecture, influencing how safe we feel and how we form bonds well into adulthood. The findings are said to have significant implications for understanding PTSD, attachment disorders, and other conditions where emotional memory and touch processing are disrupted. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Indeed. Don't forget to give hugs. Hugs are nice. Yeah, right? Some hugs just stick with you forever. The science says so. Trust the science. Hope everybody's well tonight. Thank you for the call, Daryl. Herschel coming up. What's up, Eric? Dragon Rose, I see you there. Linda, what's up, Satya, Apoc, Matzo, and Jen, both fantastic calls as well. Was a Robert, Lungine Mule. Thanks for being cool and chill. Thanks for shout out to Night Stalker. Thanks for the great chat there. And that, it is horrific to hear yourself back for the first time. Yeah, it's just not the best. It's something I didn't even listen back to myself for years. It was so just cringe to edit the podcast and stuff. I just couldn't do it. No edit or delete button. Yeah, exactly. Once you said it, you said it. That's the big thing too, right? Like it's a little bit of stress pressure putting your foot in your mouth. But you just do it a ton of times and then you're like, well, I've said stupid things before, so it's going to happen again. What's up, guys? Hope you're well tonight. Hiker, Theo, thanks for the call. Great stuff. As usual, you're the best. What's up, Merlin Magi, Nostradamus? Hiker, what's up? Sweets is over there. How you doing? Good evening, guys. Hope you're well. If I missed anybody in all the chats, just say hi and I'll say hi back. And yeah. What's up, Satya there? I see you, James. We'll get back to James momentarily. Sweets, Ioxy. What is up? Here we go. Trouble Minds happening in just a few seconds here. I got some room in here if you guys want to squeeze in. We got more from James. We got Herschel coming up and your calls as well. What do you know about this weird story? Like I said, this is brand new to me and it's creepy from top to bottom. What do you know about it? Here we go. Trouble Minds happening now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. All the places, all the things, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. Go to troubledminds.org. Right there. Everything's there. Go follow the Substack. Great stuff. You can listen to the radio station right there on the Troubled Minds website. Join the Discord. The phone number is up there. I've updated that. Every single Troubled Minds episode, except for a couple that I deleted because they were terrible, are up there. Like 1,160 something episodes. It's a ton of episodes. Go listen on the podcast feed. It's the best way if you want to go listen to an archive, because there's commercial break, like limited commercial interruption, but it does pay me. So, if you want to help the show and you want to listen back to some old stuff, listen on the podcast feed. I appreciate it very much. Let the ads run. Please don't skip them, because if you skip them, it doesn't kick me a few pennies. If you let them play, I do get kicked a few pennies. I appreciate that. Tonight we're talking this weird story, this really, really bizarre story of a woman heard voices telling her she had a brain tumor. And eventually, after toil and trial and conversations with her psychiatrist, scans confirmed she actually did. And a successful surgery culminated. And 12 years later, as far as we know, based on this case, everything is fine. And the voices went away and even said goodbye. That's what we needed to tell you. And we're out. How weird is this? James, anything to add? And we'll go to Herschel.
Just one other thing. Did I hear you right? You said this happened in like 1997, was it?
Yeah, so this actually was published in 97. Where is it? Yeah, there you go. So,
okay.
Yep.
So
correct.
That's fascinating, because if you think about that, that's almost pre-internet, almost pre-internet.
Yeah.
So she couldn't have just looked up these things and made up the whole story necessarily easily about all this happening. Not that I think that, people automatically do that all the time, but that's also fascinating, because that just takes out that whole other element of things as well.
Yeah, well said. And I think we're going to look back to this sort of phase where it was sort of pre-internet is going to become like human canon for a ton of things, because you can be like, well, there was no AI, there was no internet, and so this information that they were having is hard won, and it's you had to read books to learn things. You couldn't just watch the boob tube and then learn nonsense and watch the Cosby Show and whatever. I mean, anyway, love to hear your thoughts on this. I'm calling this the 3 proofs tonight. Protocol of the Liminal, 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Herschel in Arizona. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How are you, sir? And go right ahead.
Well, I'm just fine. I'm doing okay. This is so wild. I went and I did some research on it really fast, and I found I took that one, the text from that, that's available on that page, and I copied and pasted it and broke it down into the paragraphs and made a PDF out of it. I would like to know what the 3 things are. That's the mystery that's bothering me. Like, it's so incidental, but I want to know, like, what are the 3 facts that she didn't know that they got? I want to know about that.
Yeah, I think it does matter. I think you're right there, because just saying it and, being like, oh, there's a rusty skeleton key buried under a mailbox that's been there since 1942, that would be like mind blowing. Right. But if it's like, oh, you're the chapsticks in your pocket like the Mothman, a little less, right? A little less captivating.
Right, but nothing would surprise me. I mean, if there were some entities or some people that passed away that used to work at that hospital, that could, why not? I don't know. Like, it's just weird. But even if it was just her subconscious, and regardless, like whether it was just her subconscious telling her something that she needed to know that her frontal mind couldn't process, or whether it was these entities, like either way, it's like a fascinating thing, and it's a phenomenon, like regardless of which thing it is,
Yeah, absolutely. And a freaky one. A really freaky one. Like I said, I do wonder too, like if you go back, let's say 1,000 years and maybe, go into some magical tome that somebody wrote in the Dark Ages or something. I wonder if there's something like this, right? That they just wrote off because it's like, oh, these Dark Age quacks don't know jack about anything. But I wonder if, like, when you dig deep historically, if maybe there's some other exact tales like this. That wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah, they would have said she was a witch or something. Yeah, I don't know. There's probably a lot of stuff like that. I mean, if it happened, and the thing that was written, the thing that that I went and dug up and put in PDF. I put it in the after show chat. Was written by her psychiatrist. Like, he wrote it. It's written in his narration. And he goes into great detail about the timing of everything. You know, first she contacted them and they wouldn't do anything. And then she went on a little vacation with her family. And then while she was on vacation, the voices got stronger and they rushed back to England. And then she met with her psychiatrist again, and he tried to get her a CAT scan, and they said no. And then he insisted, and they said, okay, we'll do it. And then they did a second one with deeper, better ability, more, and they saw it. Like, it was clearly something going on. And then he goes into great detail at describing the tumor and how it works and where it was located and what it does to the brain, you know, how it affects the brain. And they took her off of her antipsychotic meds, which she had been on for years. And then they just put her on something else for a little while. And then they took her off of those drugs. So she was drug-free for a long time after the surgery. So the tumor was probably causing some issues that made her. Thoridazine was what they put her on. After she heard the voices give her the 3 facts, they put her on thoridazine, and after a week, the voices went away.
Yeah,
but then even while she was on the thoridazine, they came back because that's how strong those voices wanted to reach her. Like, they went right through the drugs.
Yeah.
So that's pretty wild. That's pretty crazy.
All of it's wild. Yeah. So I didn't get a chance. So you know me, I don't dig too deep on this. I don't want to, one, I can't mispronounce. I'm going to mispronounce all the scientific words for sure. But then two, other than sort of the case studies and stuff, when it's like this many people, here was the thing, and, you know, whatever, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to go into what the tumors are and the rest of that. I did kind of read a little bit about it, but I think it's less important than the voices and the self-diagnosis of that voice in your head. But thank you for doing the extra work and putting that in the Discord. Again, shameless plug, time to join the Discord, guys, if you have not. Oh, by the way, so troubledminds.org, click the Discord link on top. By the way, Herschel, I saw your thing there that's Discord did a facial scan. I've got a thing ready to test. Remember that thing I was telling you about? The thing that it's ready to test. So on Friday, if you're available, I'm going to talk to Ricky about radio stuff, so we can test this and start to check, because will not only record video, audio, do all the stuff, or you can stream with it as well. It's going to be a replacement for StreamYard and Discord and all the things. So I've tested it, but I haven't tested it with other people. So if you're interested, you let me know. We're going to test it on Friday night around 8 p.m., something like that. But anyway, not to derail, but go right ahead. What else you got on
all
this?
In.
Okay, perfect.
I'm all in on that. I'm all in on helping you with that. I'll put a note in to remind you, and I'll put it in my calendar.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, with the one guest I had day before yesterday, Tuesday, it tried to scan his face. It wanted to scan his face, and so we just went over to Substack. And today I did one, and it did not request a facial scan, so we did it on Discord. So I don't know.
Don't worry.
I really,
I've got a custom thing that won't do any of that.
It's just weird. You know, and who knows why that happens and what's going on. It's just whatever. Like, it's just annoying. But so I've had these things happen, though, in the morning. Like, some days, on the days that I'm really, really busy, I know I'm going to have a busy day. I have to get up early, do a bunch of chores, go into town, do stuff, have a podcast, produce a podcast, do all the busy days. About 2 of those days a week that I'm just like, I'm going all day from early morning until night, right? I wake up in the morning to the sound of knocking. There's a knocking sound, like somebody's knocking on a door. There's nobody knocking on a door. There's nobody around. But I wake up to that sound. It's like my subconscious is waking me up with the sound of a knocking sound. 3 knocks. Knock, knock, knock.
Oh, it's 3. 3 is it?
Yep, it's 3. It's 3. Yep.
That's
and I wake up and I say, okay, time to go. let's go. And that only happens on those really busy days, but it happens every time. Sometimes it's really loud. Like I have to double check and see if maybe there is somebody like knocking someplace. But that happens. That's like a regular thing.
Wow. Okay. So this is your sort of internal voice there, getting your attention for a moment. Yeah.
I believe it's just me saying, "Hey, dude, let's go." Like, because I don't like to wake up to an alarm clock because it's too loud and it's like it's too shocking. Like it's too alerting. Like I'm afraid I'm gonna have a heart attack. You know. So I guess I knock on.
Yeah, no, your subconscious knocking. I use a like a low music tone now, but I do have one of those like alarm clocks from like 1988 that still works and can wake up the entire block. Yeah, I still got one of those, but I don't use it anymore. Will probably give me a heart attack. But
several people in the chat are commenting that they've had this happen with them too.
The voices or the knocking?
The knocking.
That's wild.
3 knocks on a wooden door. Says Stephen England. Dragon Rose has had it. Sacha has had it. Steve says it's always a wooden door. Yeah, it does sound like a wooden door.
Weird,
it does
man.
Sound like a wooden door.
Weird, man.
Cool.
How about voices? How about any particular voices ever in your life, or is it the narrator in your head is actually Herschel? Or we can talk about that too, because that's weird.
I don't know. James, I don't know if I've had, I can't recall having any voices. James mentioned something about fiction writers, if the voices, one thing I can say, like, it's not really totally related to them, is that I do have certain ideas that will be explored by me come through characters that I have written consistently. You know what I mean? Like, there are little serial stories about a town that I made up and characters in that town. Certain concepts, certain things will come up, and I'll use those characters. So because the characters I've developed, they have a voice, they have personalities, they have a way that they are. You know, and so that particular subject lends itself to that voice. That happens, but I don't think that's woo. I think that's just character development.
I don't know. With the question of, is your internal narration actually you? Maybe it's not. Maybe it is woo. Maybe it's more woo than we think. And that really, yeah, is right in the crossroads of what we talk about. Exactly.
I had a great interview today with this guy, Ken Mora, and he's in LA, and the way that he described stories emerging was, he called it a meme layer, which I think we could just call a zeitgeist, but he called it a meme, an underlying meme layer. And that these stories come forward from people as experiments toward our evolution. Like these ideas have to happen, they have to come through, they have to find a way to manifest in order to find out whether they're variable, whether they are valid for the propagation of the species further. Like they're all little experiments, and they all have to come forward to find out which ones are viable. That's the word I'm looking for.
That's wild.
In the manifestation of, as consciousness manifests itself, which ideas are viable. So they all have to come forward. So that's what stories are. And I've never heard that from anybody before. And he was so fascinating to me. He describes himself as an atheist, but, with a recognition of the unseen metaphysical things. And I found that to be a really cool description of what the purpose of stories are, where they come from. I thought that was awesome.
Doesn't surprise me. That's what's his name? Teilhard de Chardin talked about the noosphere and the idea, sort of the the collective ideas of humans kind of flowing through the ether somehow, and then culminating. Of course, he didn't talk about stories, but it does make sense that zeitgeist, that sign of the times, as you just described, it kind of needs to punch through somehow. Like, you need to get these ideas through all the noise, because there's a ton of noise, especially today. Yeah. So I love that. I'm going to go listen to that. When's that one hit?
That won't hit for a couple of weeks.
Okay, please ping me when it does.
And it's going to be a long edit, because he is more than anybody I've ever met in my life.
I got just the thing for you. I've got
I know you
just the thing for you.
We're going to experiment with that.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's absolutely do that. We'll set you up something custom, and you can just run it through it and then tell me. And I'm pretty sure you're going to be like, holy crap, Mike, you cooked. Because I did. James, does it work? Does it work, James?
It works.
It works. It just works. It just works. If you want to see what I'm talking about, go listen to the recent podcast edits. And after the whole stream, everything is now AI edited. I don't edit anything. I set up templates so it works based on the bumper music and those little, Michael Strange, the master of the mysterious. Like it triggers those through a spectral audio scan and then makes the cuts before and after those things. So it trims out all of the commercials. It trims out all the chatter to the chat, and everything just kind of trims down to a nice, perfect radio edit and if there's dead air, it trims it. If there's ums and ahs, it trims it. It's incredible. So we'll get that fixed up for you, so you don't have to spend an entire weekend making that happen. But what else you got regarding this? Tons of stuff here other than tech talk.
I think that's good. I think I took us into just enough of a tangent to where we want to stop right there.
Perfect. That's okay. That's okay. I appreciate the call. Thank you for sharing the 3 knocks thing. That freaks me out a little bit. Before you go, I said this earlier when we started that I've heard before the devil knocks thrice. I wonder if there's I've heard this. Like, shout out Clive Lewis.
Yeah, I'm totally not scared of him.
Yeah. Well, okay. Perfect. I'm not saying you should be. I'm saying that it's one of those things that now suddenly there's people in the chat saying, knock, knock, knock. I think somebody over there on Rumble also said something similar as well. So there's a weird space to this that makes me wonder now if we have this common occurrence of 3 knocks waking you up, and other people experience it, that there's maybe a whole nother show here. I'll dig a little deeper, but the number 3 is certainly very, very loud in this conversation.
Yeah, it sounds cool. That sounds cool. Let's find out about those knocks.
Let's do it. Absolutely. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was wondering, Herschel, how early do you ever hear this? Is there a certain time this happens, this knocking?
No, I'm usually up between 4 and 5. It could happen anytime then, and it only happens on the days when I know that I'm going to have a long day. I go to bed early the night before, and I know I'm going to have a long day, and those are the only days it does it.
Okay, I will comment more on this 3 thing and possibly also the 3 a.m. thing in a minute here. But thank you for answering my question there.
No, thank you for asking.
Fantastic. I will look into this, I promise, because the devil knocks thrice. I've made a note. We're going to dig into this, and maybe it isn't the devil at all. It's just our subconscious. You're the best, Hirsch. Appreciate it very much. Please ping me when that comes out, but we'll collaborate before we get to that point and get it edited for you, lickety split. You're the best. Appreciate you. Okay. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing, and thanks for being such a great friend.
Good night, everybody. Good night. Thanks, everyone.
Take care. We love him. Herschel Sterling. Go give him a follow, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down. It says follow Herschel. Click that. It'll take you to the sexiest link tree in the game, and it's got all his stuff. There you go. It's got all his things. Go buy his books. Go follow his Substack. Go listen to his podcasts, plural, The Easytopian, and he does The Arc of the Bard. Tons of great stuff. Very smart guy, as you know, and he's a baseball fan. He's a baseball player. Hey, it's hard to hate the guy. You can't hate a guy that's so talented in all the ways and so kind and kosher and doing all the things he should be. James, hold the thought. We got Eric on the line. We're going to go to Eric, and then we'll wrap up with your what you were going to comment there on the knocks, because I think this is going to spawn an entire other conversation. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Sorry, James. Eric, go ahead. That's running out of time trying to get everybody in here. Welcome to Troubled Minds.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Welcome to the joints. What do you know about this? Tons of stuff here.
Well, I kind of came in a little late on this, but I don't know if anyone's mentioned it or not, but there are such a thing as high-grade gliomas, which are a type of tumor that forms in the brain, which can produce synaptic circuits and neuronodes. they can not only produce these things, but they can also interact with normal synaptic circuits and neural nodes that's already in the brain. And in some cases, there can be multiple tumors that can be bridged together in a neural network. So those are called glioblastoma and diffused midline gliomas. So you can look those up, but essentially you can have a tumor in your head that basically is like a secondary brain or a secondary neural network if they're bridged together with multiple tumors. And it makes me think that maybe that's where these other voices come from, that these things formulate inside your own body, and it's just internal biological neural network awareness. And so you end up having that manifest in a way that's not an external sensory input, but an output in that sense, connected directly to your brain. So I can see how people could hear a different voice than they normally would. I mean, like you, I have my voice in my head. It's just one, and I know it's me. It's my voice. It's the cadence of me, and it's in first person. You know, it's nothing telling me to do anything. It's me thinking through various things. So the only way I can kind of perceive this weird dichotomy of voices suddenly is through the development of the actual tumor that occurred into this person's head. So I don't know. I haven't done a huge amount of research into that, but I do know that those things exist. My mom died with brain cancer and spinal cancer, and so, you know, I was kind of researching it at that point and stuff and thinking these things through. But I don't know if anyone's mentioned that or not.
No, actually, never heard of that. And you're saying near and dear to my heart, big words I'll never be able to pronounce. So appreciate that very much. Look those things up, guys. Those abracadabra, abracadabra.
Yeah, that's it's GLIOMAS and GLIOBLASTOMA, glioblastoma.
Perfect.
And then diffuse midline glioma.
Right on. Appreciate that very much. You're just as a quick woo part of this. Do you think that the voice inside your head is actually you, or do you think there's some cross talk there with maybe a larger consciousness or beaming from Alpha Centauri? Just for a fun aside here.
No, it's me. It's my voice. It's my cadence. It's my first person narrated thoughts. It's my sense of humor, my slang and words and way of speaking. There's nothing that's unfamiliar about it to me.
Right on. I didn't expect you to say anything different.
I laugh at myself through that mechanism.
Mine is mostly too, like I said, and I even have to self-censor. It's mostly stream of consciousness here when I'm rambling, but I still gotta, I'm an old man now, but I'm still a little too crude for my own liking, so I have to, self-censor. We're all a 12-year-old in our mind, aren't we? You're the best brother. What else you got for us? Appreciate the call.
I remember that you had done a radio program on King Tut's dagger. And I remember being on your show talking about spectrometry as it related to the VST that I was building and shifting the frequency down 40 octaves from the visual range to the hearing range. And do you remember when I was saying, I was giving examples of how spectrometry worked, and one of the things that, as an example that I gave, was how meteorites had various tails, and then I mentioned that I assumed that ancient people must have known this to be able to produce the work that they did with iron before the Iron Age. And then I think that resonated with you because you were seeing that from almost an adventurer's D&D aspect, where you were going out to retrieve something that fell from the sky. You remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we did do the whole meteorite and the whole King Tut's dagger and the that space metal. Yeah, absolutely. We've done shows on that in the past, previous to you finding us and being a friend.
Okay. I didn't know that. I was going to say, because I did some research into that and I found some absolutely amazing things that I never thought I would find when I started doing this research. Material objects, linguistic evidence, and all of this stuff that predates history and was there at the formulation. And I've got a paper ready to be published. It would be my second paper published if I got it published, but I'm getting ready to write it up in either Chicago or MLA format. But man, if you want to ever recap that, I'd be interested in that. And also, I want to go in deep on an explanation of orchestrated reduction at some point too.
All right, queue them up. Schedule it. We'll get to those things because they are worthy of discussion and worthy of the troubled mind aspect of things. You're the best. Ping me. Let me know when that paper is written. And of course, OrcOR is always on my mind as part of this. I think it's I think it's an important thing that we should really recognize that maybe that voice inside our head isn't necessarily unfiltered us. It's got some wobbles in there with that quantum consciousness stuff. You're the best, brother. Appreciate you very much. We'll definitely do those shows. Hit me up and we'll get it scheduled. Okay.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
You're the best. Eric in Ohio, please go give him a follow. Thank you to Sweets for dropping his links in all the chats. troubledminds.org/friends. Click on Eric. Go check out his link tree and check out all the amazing things he's working on. Looking forward to that paper as well. James, last but not least, that thought you had that you wanted to add to what Herschel was talking about. Welcome back and go right ahead. Thanks for being patient.
No problem. Great calls from everyone. This is really the knocking and the time of the morning that it's happening. I could probably just do a search on like any major like paranormal themed forum or website. I end up using Reddit a lot because it's just easier for me. And find countless posts from people talking about, it's weird, I just wake up at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning or 2 in the morning sometimes. But in some cases they'll say things like that, or they'll say, I heard knocking in my room, in my building, in my home at 2 or 3 or 4 a.m. and it was 3 knocks. And that's all they'll say. It's not, again, going back to the whole idea of everything anomalous is not evil. It's not. Nothing else happens, but there's just this waking up and or these knocking sounds at around that time in the morning between like 2 and 4, and a lot of times it's not every case, but a lot of times it's like 3 knocks, and it's on like the bedroom door even sometimes, which of course inside a building, a lot of cases inside a home, it's going to be almost like some kind of a wooden door. So that definitely could be a whole show in and of itself. Going into what is that? Is that external? Is that within the person? I imagine there's probably, as I always like to say, I think everything happens. So it's probably some cases are one, some cases are the other. And so that's a fascinating thing. I think we could definitely do a show on at some point.
Yeah, add the 3 mechanism to the wood door and the devil knocks thrice. I've got a funny enough. I've got a there's I deliver stuff around town, and there's all kinds of locked doors and stuff, and I have like secret knocks to people where I like roll up and you're supposed to like hit the button and they're supposed to see that the camera turns on, but I just go like I do like a particular knock and they know it's me. They just go, hey, what's up, Mike? They open the door. It's super funny. Like just sort of this other communication aspect where just the way I do things, everybody just knows it's me. And it's hilarious. But knocking on doors is certainly one of those things that is not just a communication, obviously, a nonverbal communique, but also in the larger context, like you're describing, something that seemingly everybody's experiencing in their mind's eye as well, which is incredible to me. I never realized that was the case until, again, just like Herschel's pointed out in the chat and over on Rumble too. It's like, okay, here we are, and now you as well. So strap it in. Remind me. We'll get back to that, and we'll certainly do the devil knocks thrice, and we'll dig into that a little bit because I think it's important. You're the best, James. Anything else to add before we wrap this up?
Just that it's not just doors. Sometimes it's walls. Sometimes it's windows, and people will go and look at the window, and there's nothing there. And some of these times where it's windows, it's like a second story or higher window. So really fascinating thing there. It's sort of a common one of those patterns I found within everything I look into. So thank you for having me on as always, and great calls everyone, and thanks for listening to me all night.
Thanks for being here. You were the best. You know him, you love him. James Salcido Paranormal, SALSIDO paranormal.com. You can find that, of course, search it directly, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down and it says follow James. Click that. While you're there, follow everybody else too. First, buy James's books. Please go buy James's books. Please. Let's help our friends. That's what this is about. James peels out a ton of time, is so gracious with not just his time with us, as are you all. Right to the round table, as I said the other night. Nobody's better or more special than everybody else. We're all equals here. He puts in a ton of time to help us, to help me, to help these conversations. So let's help our friends. Go buy James's book if you haven't done that. It's cheap. It's like $10. Amazon, you can buy it tonight, get it tomorrow, and magically they'll send it to you. That's that. Help our friends. That's what this has always been about. Like I said, the dream in building a radio show has been talking to randos. And I say that now, as a derogatory, because you guys are not randos. You're incredible people. Very smart, very interested, very captivating in the things that you see differently than I do. And that's the point. We're supposed to see things similarly, but also differently. And then kind of amalgamate that into, welcome to Troubled Minds. So help our friends. If you haven't done that, look, and you don't know how to give back and you want to help the show, that's one massive way. Peel out a couple hours here or there, an hour here or there, and just go down troubledminds.org/friends and go follow all these amazing people. If you don't have accounts in those places where they're sharing stuff, go make the accounts. Go follow them. Tell them, hey, I listened to you on Troubled Minds and you're fantastic and I want to hear more from you. Let's support each other. That's what this has always been about, okay? You're not randos. You are amazing, spectacular people, okay? There are no NPCs here. I don't believe in that. I don't do that. I don't... You know me. It's one of my triggers. Because if that's the case, I was an NPC at one point. And I'm not sure anybody would call me that now. If you want to help us directly, spread the word. Let people know a conversation is happening where we're not going to tell you who to vote for. We're not going to chase down political narratives. We're not going to do any of the nonsense that the mainstream media does. And we're going to talk about things that are interesting. Okay? Non-linear, open-ended, and absolutely fascinating. That's Troubled Minds. That's it. Going back thousands of years, thinking thousands of years into the future, and cemented in this moment, wondering what it all means, what it means to be human. That's that. You can buy the merch at troubledfans.com. There's the hats, the shirts, all the things, the maybe juice mugs. Appreciate that if you go buy some of those things. Thank you. I just did the taxes, and it's official. For the entire year, I made 40 cents an hour doing Troubled Minds. So there you go. If you know the actual number, now you know the actual number. You can laugh at me. And that's it. That's it. I'm in the black by 40 cents an hour. So if you want to help a little bit with some scratch here or there, it is appreciated that I don't dip into the red. Thank you. As we finish, troubledfans.com, troubledminds.org. There's links in the description. There's Patreon. There's Buy Me a Coffee. There's all those things. And I never do that. I never promote myself and say, send me money. But I'm just saying, 40 cents an hour. It's pretty pathetic. Here we go. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night.